Hi, and welcome to another special edition of Education Matters here at Workshop. With me, I'm having like a president's forum. I have the president of New Jersey School Boards Association, who most of you probably know, John Bulina. Welcome, John.
Thanks, Ray.
And I also have with me, we have a guest to the New Jersey Workshop, and that's Ed Massey, the president of the National School Board Association. Welcome, Ed.
Delighted to be here.
And Ed, you're from Kentucky, right?
That's correct.
Okay. We'll start with you, Ed, because we get to hear John all the time. We don't get to hear someone from out of state all the time at this convention. You've been to a lot of the national convention, obviously, and some state conventions. What's similar about all of them, and what might be a little different about this one?
Well, certainly the similarity is the purpose of the function and mission, which is to bring board members together, build teamwork, learn how to work together. But I think there's a camaraderie here that's a little bit unusual. There's just a closeness. You can see the relationship building. I particularly found it interesting that they had the general sessions, if you will, as part of the exhibit hall. And it was kind of neat because it allows people to go back and forth between their conversations with potential vendors that they work with in their local districts, but it also allows them to get the state perspective. They can hear the Secretary of Education or the Commissioner. They can hear John speak. They can hear other leaders, Marie Billick speak. And so it gives a free flow of information. There's no loss of time. But I think what I've heard about the greatness of this conference for many years, and I was not disappointed. I like the wide open space. I like all the vendors, and that in itself is amazing. This is actually as big, if not bigger, than our exhibit hall, sometimes that we have at National School Boards Association. So the buy-in of the people, the buy-in of the vendors, the camaraderie, the working together, all has been amazing.
I feel proud to be from New Jersey after that. John, you've been, how many workshops have you been to?
And this is the 23rd I've attended.
It's the 23rd you attend. What do you get out of them?
The biggest thing here is being able to meet with other board members, be able to interface with each other, see commonalities, discuss issues that they want to have brought forward, that hopefully with this association we can work towards resolving. And
John, what about you're president now for the first time? Does that tie your freedom a little bit?
Being the president is a whole different animal than attending as a board member, because as a president or an officer, we're scripted the whole time we're here. We have to see our guests that we have. We address the keynote speakers. We're spending time with them, as opposed to being able to get out and see these vendors as much as we would like and see other board members on the floor. So our windows of opportunity to see our vendors and thank them for being here, as well as meet fellow board members and chat with them, is more limited than it would be when I was.
And I know you always like that other part of the job, but now it's more of a work. You have more of a responsibility. Ed, let's talk educational priorities, because you're president national, president New Jersey. What do you see as the key issues facing school boards nationwide?
Well, I think one thing we need to do is we need to, educational associations as a whole, need to bind their collective lobbying power together in order to tackle the attack on public education. We at NSBA have basically looked at ourselves over the last year, and we've come up with our primary core agenda is advocacy, whether it be legislative, legal, or public advocacy. I think a lot of times that there is a division even among associations, and people often wonder if educational people that have interests that can't agree, then what does that say about our public education system? I'm delighted that we're going to have some people to bring new leadership at NSBA that I think will help us bring that to the forefront. We've just hired a new executive director, Tom Gensel, out of Pennsylvania, and as you already know, we've also hired Marie Billick, who is your State Association Executive Director, is our Chief Operating Officer. So I believe that their personalities, their consensus building will allow us not only to get on track where we need to be as an association, but also help us engage other associations to have that collective power. If we don't advocate on behalf of public schools, my concern is it's going to continue to be chipped away until we no longer have what we need, and that's the ability to provide a free and appropriate public education for all students across this country.
John, what do you see as the issues facing New Jersey school board members in particular?
I think the theme of our conference really speaks to what we should be concerned with in Jersey right now. One of the reason we all exist while we're on boards is the theme of the conference, which is sharing student success. Let's face it, we're all in education because we want to see our kids become as good as they're capable of being. And to me, I think that's the biggest, most important thing that we have to deal with always as board members.
I was taking Dr. Larry Feinside when he introduced himself to the members in his presentation, talked about the erosion of the control, the authority of the local Board of Ed. First of all, Ed, is that a national issue too? And to follow that up, he indicated, and I would agree, and you probably would, that sometimes the best decisions are made by those people closest to the kids at the board level.
Well, I completely concur with the idea of local governance, that those people on the ground making the decisions closest to the action have the ability to make the best decisions. I also believe that there is an erosion of local governance. The sad thing is a lot of our community members don't understand that. They still think we handle all of the dollars and the allocation, and they don't understand that a large part of our budgets are controlled by unfunded mandates, both at the federal and the state level. And because of that, our discretionary authority over funds is limited, and those we do have authority over are sometimes compartmentalized so that we don't have a lot of control. One thing that we still have the power to do as boards is to hire the superintendent, which is the policy director for the school board and for the school district. That's very positive. And we also have the ability to set policy. So board members still have the impact on student achievement, but a lot of times we just don't have the control over the resources that are necessary to achieve that. The only way to glean that is to have local governance at the board level, with the board having the duty and the responsibility to allocate resources where they're needed.
And John, is an issue, I think it is for all the officers of New Jersey School Board Association.
Yes, New Jersey is very actively involved with national school boards. Ed and I we just had a long discussion about some of these issues prior to us coming on board now. What a lot of people don't realize is that the erosion is, as Ed said, comes from a national level and state level. And I think one of the things that happens is many board members think about being an excellent board member in the local community, but they a lot of times, either for one reason or another, don't see the tie-in between your local board, the state board, and the national board. Because as Ed said, there's little chipping away there, and before you know it, you don't have local control you have any longer. You can almost raise the question of a 2% cap, severely limits what you can do. The cap restriction put on superintendents, it's a way the state is saying, no, you're not really handling your funds properly, and you can only pay so much for a superintendent, as opposed to saying you have a 2% cap, and it's up to you to make sure you can make all your payments and pay all your bills within that cap. It's something we all have to do in our own homes. We have a certain amount of money we're given, you got to pay all your bills. At the end of the month, they've got to be done.
Okay, I'd like to thank you. Ed, welcome to New Jersey.
Thank you, delighted to be
John,
here.
Can I say he's welcome back anytime?
Yeah, he certainly is. He's a fellow Kentucky colonel.
Thanks, John. That brings us to the end of this episode. I think the message that you may have gone out of there is that both at the national and state level, they're asking board members to become more advocates for their district and their children.